Guys, you know by now, if you're a fan of this podcast and you want more in your wee weekly Sly Guy hamper, you can get more. You can head to patreon.com/Sly Guy podcast, where you get a guest bonus podcast on a Monday. You get early access to this Sly Guy podcast, and you get a guest episode most Fridays. But some Fridays, you get vlogs. Some Fridays, you get me ranting about stuff. And other Fridays, you get nothing. But it's a fun time. And all the bonus content is over there. There's a library of stuff over there. There's all the previous guest episodes. There's other early access. There's the extra Sly Guy. There's Dog Walks with Davey. There's a ream of stuff you can just go back on and enjoy. So if you don't want to miss out, head to patreon.com/Sly Guy podcast today. For as little as £2, you can get all that bonus content and help me build the podcast bigger and better than ever before. The Sly Guy podcast is always brought to you in association with Modest Beer. Modest are the beer who do not like to boast. Modest are the beer with flavour the most. Modest are the beer that make you happy. Modest is the beer that's not one bit crappy. And if you want to know more about Modest Beer, head to their website, www.modestbeer.co.uk, where you can see the line of beers that they have there. You can acquire yourself some merch if you wish as well. And you can sign up to their newsletter, where you get an email of all the up-to-date news of all things Modest right into your little inbox whenever it comes out. I don't know why I made a wee bum noise there, but Modest like to, I was going to say leave surprises in your bottom. They don't, but they make delicious beer. So head on to www.modest.co.uk, subscribe to the newsletter, or follow them on their socials at Modest Beer.
I'm the Sly Guy.
Hello and welcome to another week of the Sly Guy podcast. This week I have a guest, and my guest is the FBG, not the BFG, the FBG. And is that the friendly big jack? No, it's the fun ball guy, Ian Thompson. Ian's a comedian, he's a boxer now, and he's a gardening guy. He's an interesting chap. It's a fun episode. Hopefully you guys get something out of it, because that's why we do the podcast, you know, for you to get a little bit of enjoyment. Hope you get enjoyment. Hope you get to feast on this episode like a walker in The Walking Dead. Speaking of which, we do look like we could both be characters in The Walking Dead, both myself and Ian. But that's a joking aside, silliness aside, it's time to get serious with the podcast. Enjoy. Ian Thompson, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Very well, sir.
Yeah,
Lovely to be here at last.
you know what? You're looking well in the lights. You're looking. Do you have a wee touch of makeup on here for this?
No, just naturally very handsome.
He's a natural tan guy. Well, you're very welcome. I want to ask you obviously about the first question just off the bat. How are you feeling after Valentine's Day last night?
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
It was the least Valentine's Day I've ever had.
What did you do? Talk me through how Ian Thompson's Valentine's Day works.
Got up, my missus was at home because the kids were on half term. Said goodbye, went to work, spent a full day at work, got home, and then I was looking at dates on my phone. I was like, oh shit, today's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day.
All right.
And my partner said happy Valentine's Day, and that was it.
And there was no like exchanging of gifts?
Nope.
Chocolate, body sauce?
Nothing.
No.
So, yeah, very low key. Usually we would do something, but it's a load of bollocks really, isn't it? It
is. You know what? It is. And it's a time for, I find, wives to be deceitful, if I'm honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because what mine does is like, Valentine's Day's a load of balls. We don't do it. Don't worry about it. No interest. Don't get me anything.
Oh,
and then I'll go, are you sure? And she'll go, yes, obviously we need to keep our money for other stuff and blah, blah. And I said, right, okay. Then she goes to the shops and she made the error of allowing me to empty the bag from the shopping. And when I did, I found like a Valentine's card and a little present in there. I was like, well, for fuck's sake, now I have to go and get you something. So.
And did you?
Yes, I did.
What did you go for?
I got her chocolates.
Right.
And I got her a card.
What chocolates?
expensive ones. Like there were like a pack of little bars, but they were like those organic ones. I just said orgasmic ones, which would be definitely a ploy you could do at Valentine's. But I got a chocolate. But again, we're both on diet, so
Right.
it'll just sit obsolete in the cupboard.
What would you classify as an orgasmic chocolate?
One that would, when you eat it, you ejaculate. I
Yeah.
would say. I mean, I don't know if there's any medicine in there that can do that.
Toblerone can make you ejaculate, but you don't need it.
No, but yeah, it has to go somewhere. It has to go. Another one would be good for that. Would be like a Lion bar. It's quite knobbly, isn't it? It would be rimmed.
A double
ribbed.
decker or a boost.
A
they could
boost.
be.
I like the ones with a boost is quite. It's not ribbed. It might be ribbed actually, a boost, but it's not
Slightly
thick enough.
ribbed, I think. Yeah.
I like it because a Lion bar or a picnic, it'd have like roughage
Yeah.
around
yeah.
it with the broken bits of nuts.
I like something that's good chew.
Yeah, I like something that it goes in painful and it tears your insides. That's what I'm.
Well, speaking of Valentine's Day, Davey, I've got you a very sexy gift.
All right. Okay.
It's not really mine to give away, but
Okay.
it's very sexy.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Does anyone really want this? This. Oh
Might
my
look
God.
familiar to
If
some people.
anybody knows, this is William Thompson's bra from the boxing on Saturday. For anyone who's watching the video, I'm holding it up. It's pink. There's an odor to it.
It's a very sexy odor.
Yeah, it's there's definitely testosterone in that. I was going to say pheromones, but it's definitely giving off something.
It's a
It's a
it's a C
brassiere.
cup, which I think
Yeah.
is probably
Impressive.
not generous enough.
No. But William, for those that doesn't know, of course the boxing took place. The long chatted about boxing match, the St. Valentine's Day massacre, which was weirdly called that because it was nothing to do with Valentine's
Yeah,
Day.
true.
But it was a great success. I was very fortunate to be front row, ringside, commentating on the events, and it was great to watch the boxing up close. Not so great to watch this in all its flow. William,
I would dispute what
you know what? But what I will do, this is going on. I'm going to bid. This is going on online. I'm going to put it online. We're going to have a bidding war, and all proceeds will be going to me because Pips have got enough. So there
I'll
we
start
go.
the bidding.
Yeah.
£1,000.
£1,000. Let's see how it goes. So yeah, William was wearing that outfit, and it was. I mean, I don't know what William was, because again, afterwards, did you go out afterwards?
Oh, aye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were fighting first in the card. How did it feel? Talk us through the night itself. How did you feel it went?
Loved every second, honestly.
Yeah.
This might come as a shock to some people, but I didn't take the boxing element that seriously. I think there was a spectrum with like probably Shane and the Freak McPeak at one end,
Yeah.
me at the other.
Okay.
But everything about it, brilliant.
Yeah, it was actually because I was expecting the night to be fun. Don't get me wrong, I was, but I didn't expect the boxing to be as good or competitive as it ended up being. I think a lot of people.
After the first fight.
Well, no, the first fight was actually, and I said it. People have asked me what was my favorite fight, and I've said the first fight because I think it set the tone.
Yeah.
For the night,
Yeah.
and again, it was one that I thought, because if I've been asked for some reason now, people think I am the go-to oracle of knowledge on the comedians boxing because I commentated on it, but I actually thought the first half was better boxing than the second half, because I feel the fights in the first half were more even and more equal, and I felt in the second half there were a few mismatches that sort of maybe let it down a bit. Like you had yourself and Cormac was a cracking fight. Heather and Sarah Jade, wow,
Yeah, that was
it was. I hate a slobber knocker. Those two just went at it.
I knew that one would be a good one, actually.
Yeah, it was a cracker.
Yeah.
But again, it's like there are two elements to that. I'd seen nothing of Cormac at all,
Neither
and I'd
had
seen
anyone.
nothing of Sarah Jade at all. So they were the two that I'd seen no training, anything of, and I just thought these are unknown quantities.
Yeah.
And they were great.
Yeah.
Both of them.
There was like Pete Giffen as well. I'll hold my hand up and say I thought that was going to be incredibly one-sided. Like
Yeah.
I'd sparred with Pete probably the second week of training, and he seemed to get very tired very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck, he put up a good fight.
And he hit Sean with a few big
Oh, aye.
shots as well,
Yeah.
which whenever you saw it up close, it was, you really saw it and felt it. Like those gloves and pads felt like like just bits of rubber.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things that fucked me over was training with one of my mates. We were sparring, and it was only at the end of it I was like, I felt every one of those days.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at his gloves and realised he was wearing 10-ounce
Yeah.
gloves, whereas we were training with like 14 or 16
Yeah.
ounce. So it did have a bit of a rib injury.
The excuses are coming out now.
Well, Davey, I'm not a man for making excuses, but hang on to get my list here. No, I'm only joking. No, it was just fantastic night.
Yeah.
Like, and then I tell you what, as well, the crack afterwards in Pugs
Yeah.
was next, because obviously all the comedians, we all see each other, we all spend time together.
Yeah.
But when you're gigging, you're not 100% relaxed.
Yeah.
Of course, you're concentrating on what you're going to say or how your performance went, and it was just class. Everyone just sitting having the crack.
Yeah.
And
See, I was a bit sad I missed that in the end, because I ended up getting caught but like a salmon. I got caught with the people coming out, because where I was, it was right at so there's people coming out and they were chatting, and it was nice to speak to people, get a few photos or whatever else. But by the time that had all happened, most of the people had headed on, then I had to get out of the suit, and by that time it was like, oh, I've got tomorrow to look forward to, which is my full day with the kids. And I thought, if I start now, there'll be no...
Is that every Sunday?
Victory. Well, every other Sunday, because Catherine works shift, so she's
right,
every
of
other.
course, yeah.
So every other Saturday and Sunday, I just have both the girls, and they're insatiable. They're at that age where they need constant entertainment. And if you're hungover, you need to have what's the word? Patience with kids. And when you're hungover, I just can't cope anymore.
I remember my first bad hangover as a father, and it was just like, right, I need to change my lifestyle here. Like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, but it's. What was it? Do you remember the moment, or what had you been doing, or what happened?
Like, so we'd moved back to Belfast by this stage, so my son must have been between 6 months and a year old, and I don't know where. I think it might have been an Ulster game probably, and just went out after and drank until the wee hours, and the next day he was just like, Daddy, wanting to play and stuff, and I was just lying there going, please don't look at Daddy's face.
Yeah, like something out of the Beauty and the Beast. Don't look at my face. No, but I know that feeling well, and it's weird because I think I always I enjoy a drink. Don't get me wrong, and I really enjoyed a drink when I was younger. Like, I think that was kind of I was one of those guys that lived for the weekend, and every weekend I'd have been out and I had a great time. Then I just think having kids just means there's so much shit that you have to do, because they can't do shit, they're useless, so you have to be the one that does it. And whenever you're like, out of the two of us, myself and Catherine, I am a better morning person, so I get up and go more than she would. So, and she, she's great with them, but it's just first thing in the morning, it's like, I know it's going to be me dealing with it. So
very much not the case in my relationship.
No.
Like, I'm not a morning guy, really, so.
Which is weird, because your job, you would think you're a bright up and early guy.
Yeah, but then it's when I get to the weekends, so I want to
relax,
switch off from that. But yeah, I mean, my kids are now like 10 and 12, so they're a wee bit more independent. And probably in a few years they'll be the ones lying with a hangover.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something. In a few years you're counting down, they'll be out of the house.
Well,
they'll be gone.
Yeah.
Or away forever.
I do have a calendar with a countdown on it. Like,
nice.
so.
I'm starting to think about that myself, actually, because they're just getting to the point where it's like, I don't know, time is just something I have no control over anymore. It's like I'm always doing something, and then it's like, oh shit, these guys. And then today, my mom, like this week, my parents would normally take them for a day of the week, and they got a bug. So like on the days they have them, I'm like, that's work day for me. I was
that's
like,
just inconsiderate.
So inconsiderate. I was like, what you could do, you could go to the shop, get some tampons up your bum, let all the shit absorb, you'd be grand.
Yeah.
Imodium and tampons is what I would recommend. But my dad was like, I don't think that's going to be feasible. And I went, well,
certainly not without the fetus.
No, exactly. Winners win, Dad. You need to get up. That's what we need to do. We need to get Tom Smith going to negative people's houses in their faces and motivate them. If they're sick or not, who cares?
Yeah.
Get through it.
Get them round to your dad.
Yeah. My dad's actually now, strangely enough, summoned the energy to recover and go over to London today to watch Arsenal Man City. So
how convenient.
I mean, he can't look after the kids, but he can travel. He can go and watch a football match.
Yeah.
So, fuck him. And my poor mum has the wee one now, so I've split them up, the big ones with her other nanny, the wee ones with her granny. So now when I finish, my mum said, I have to go to the dentist. I was like, you just booked that. So when I finish here, I'm just going, and I'm going to another afternoon.
The dentist?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe just seeing a guy in a white fucking outfit about some different oral procedure, I'm sure, but yeah, sucking guys off, sort of thing, what Mum's doing.
Like
Anyhow,
mother, like son, eh?
listen, you learn from the best.
Gotta say, that's one of my favourite jokes here. I've got to let my hair down somehow.
Yeah, it's a favourite of mine. It's one of those ones where do you ever do bits and you go, fucking stop doing that?
Yeah,
I've got to stop doing that, because you know what happened. I wanna go back to giving off about my parents here. Monday, what's the comedy club on a Monday evening? It's a staple of the Belfast scene. It's where a lot of people start.
I started there. Yeah.
What is it?
Monday night comedy, the Pavilion
At the
Bar.
Pavilion. So I'd said to Luke, who runs it, I was like, look, can I get on? I have a load of new stuff I need to work out. And he said, yes, you can. I went, yes, great. So I've all these new premises and bits, whatever. They got sick, got no fucking work done on the day. Ended up doing 2 new bits, which I sort of half looked at, and then reverted to the fucking old stuff. And I was just, what was the point of me doing that?
Yeah.
Raging at myself.
But then sometimes, you've got to play what's in front of you, Davey, and there's no point in doing stuff if you're not 100% comfortable at the time.
Yeah, but I need to be comfortable, because of a new show to prepare for, so I need to get the head out and get the new bits. I have the ideas, I know what I want to talk about. I just need to sit down and actually write the stuff.
Yeah, that's a very familiar story.
Payne, like, what is your process then if you have a bit? How does a bit come to you, or how do you come across it?
I might just have a wee thought in my head, and then that's the great thing about being a landscaper. Like, there's no one interrupting me. I can just sort of put the head down for a couple of hours and walk about, and then I'll have something stuck in my head. And it might be for months before I'm like, right, I know where I'm going with this.
But do you get to say, put the strimmer down and get the phone out and write the notes? Or
I do on occasion, yeah.
Because I don't know if it's an age thing, because I have had an age where I could be in the shower and have an idea, and because I don't have my phone near me, I'm all wet and all.
Yeah.
The idea's gone, and I'm like, what was that fucking great idea?
I had one, it must have been before Christmas, and I was just about to fall asleep, and I actually started chuckling to myself, and I was like, I need to sit up and make a note of this on my phone, and I just couldn't muster up the energy. And the next morning I woke up and I was just like, what the fuck was that about? Yeah, like it was hilarious, but I can't remember what it is. And that's the worst thing I find. Like, if you're something you're like, that was great, like even looking through the new bits there, I was like, there's something missing here, because there was one day I got 3 new bits just from going out and doing things. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I think if you sit in and you focus on writing, you get a bit of a block. You know, like, I can't just pull something out of thin air. Whereas you go and live life, do bizarre things, you go, that could be shit this. Drops in your lap.
You know, so like I went and bought crystals one day just because there was a crystal shop. No, I needed crystal. Maybe that's what I'll do next for some inspo. But I went to a crystal shop, and obviously I know Psychic Glenn, and I text Glenn, I was like, what crystal should I buy? And Glenn was like, boom, get these ones. And I was like, okay. So I went in, and it was just the whole experience in the crystal shop was totally new to me, and I think there's lots of bits in here for me. But then there's another thing that happened that I thought was the superior bit of the day. I can't fucking remember it. So I'm going to hope it's in my actual new folder on my computer, because normally I'm like a conscientious nonce, a traditional nonce. I've got different areas where I keep all my material. So I've got Polaroids, which is my notebook, and then I have the hard drive, which is and then unfortunately usually the notebook's where it is all to get, but and if it's not on this computer, I've fucked it. I need to amalgamate mine, because I've wee bits and pieces everywhere, and then sometimes when I'll sit down, I'll be like, right, I've a notepad of notes on my phone, of stuff sometimes as well, like in the comedians WhatsApp group for the boxing, there was bits and pieces in there, just replies to each other's jokes and all that I remember thinking, fuck, I should actually do a wee bit about that. But sometimes when you sit down, it's just nothing happens. Yeah, but then you get there, don't you? And then when you sort of get the stupid idea, like I wasn't going to do a show this year, and then I had an idea, and I was like, I'll do it. I'll do a show. I'll do a new show, and then I'm like, I need to put a new show together here, but we'll be grand. See, I'm doing that show, Daft Prick, 24th of March, Sunflower Bar. Okay. And I've lots of ideas, and it's going to be entirely different to what I've done before. And in what way can you say? Well, it's going to be more like a sort of personal journey, really, which sounds incredibly wanky, but it's going to be sort of loosely based on
like Daft Punk, and when I was sort of in my late teens, early 20s, and right up to seeing them live and just shit that went down.
Yeah, would you be a big Daft Punk fan?
Yeah, well, I thought it would be quite fun to do something, and along those lines, I saw Adam Buxton's David Bowie show, which was brilliant, and I was like, I'd love to try and do something like that. And then I was trying to think what artist or band or whatever would I go for, and then eventually I was like, I could probably do one on Daft Punk because there's a lot of fun memories associated with them. Went to Stag Do in 2007
with Daft Punk.
Wow. Sound lads, but no, we went to Hyde Park to see them at the Wireless Festival, and it was just a fucking wonder weekend. It was one of those ones. It's only happened with, I've seen the Rolling Stones live and Daft Punk, and with both of them I was going, how exciting is this going to be? Like fucking a bunch of old boys in their 70s fucking about playing songs from 50 years ago. Came out of it just going, that's one of the best live performances. And with Daft Punk was like some French guys standing pressing buttons behind their helmets going, and again, just like superb.
I see with that too, like, because I sometimes find, like, what was the best concert you've been to and blah blah blah. I think it's elements that have to come together, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So like, if you're there on a stag do, you've got the boys, the atmosphere is good, the pints are that, that can be class. Like, one of my favourite concerts, I went to see Snow Patrol in Ward Park, which was just around the corner from my house, which was handy, and I was a bit like, it'll be grand, but I ended up going. The atmosphere was amazing about the town. I got there, had a great time. And Bono appeared, which I just was like, I couldn't get over that. Bono is here in my local park where I walk my dog. What a moment. This is historic. Catherine was like, would you shut up? And I went, no. She didn't even like you two. Doesn't matter if I like him or not. It's Bono in my local park. It's Bono.
Don't like Snow Patrol or the park. But
no, I hate them all singularly, but together, fuck me, what a casserole.
That's it. I mean, even with certain movies, like the setting, the environment I watched it in, and who I was with and all, just adds to the whole experience. Yeah,
and are there any movies that spring to mind? Any ones you've seen recently you've gone, fucking love that shit?
I remember going to see Pulp Fiction at the cinema with, like, I was at boarding in Methody, and we had like a night out, and
you were released, day release.
Yeah, so we had to go. We all went for a Chinese. I think we might have gone bowling or something, and then went to the cinema to see
I thought you
Pulp
meant
Fiction.
like attacking another student. That would be a problem.
No, they were attacking us. But no, we went to see Pulp Fiction, and just like, I can remember just being in the cinema and all, and then the bit like when Son of a Preacher Man comes on, and like the music just kicked in. I can remember at exactly the same time, me and my mate Bruce that was sitting beside me just leaned into each other and just went, "Hits from the bar." Like when you're like familiar with it from Cypress Hill, but not the original at the time. And then I've seen that movie other times with people, so I think that's got a soft spot. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as well. I remember just sitting with a hangover at my mate's house when we were about 17 and watched it and just been like, this is a very nice setting. You know what? I actually watched that one. It's one of those iconic films that everyone has heard of, has referenced so much, and like, I think my dad would use that as a phrase. If someone's being a little bit, misbehaving or whatever, they're being a wee bit not themselves. He's like, you fucking need to be in there with McMurphy and all. And I'd be like, what's that even mean? And then I saw it, and actually it was him that made me watch it. And it was one day, and I was living at home, I was probably 17, 18 at the time, and I had a hangover. And I always liked to watch like classic films with a hangover. So like, I especially love films like old war films like Zulu. I love to watch The Hangover. The Great Escape, one of my favourites. But my dad was like, you need to watch this, and I did. I remember sitting with him and watching it at the start, being like, fuck, this is, and then just getting caught into it, and then just sitting for the whole entire film, the both of us. I went, that was fucking brilliant. Like whenever the chief gets the water cooler and he fucks it through the window. There's a Simpsons episode parodies that, isn't there? Like, I'm
not sure. No,
there's quite a few movies that I've seen, and it's been parodied somewhere, and I was like, oh fuck, that's where
it is. Yeah, but no One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's sad too, isn't it?
It is.
It's a sad one, but it's
I have
great.
been in mental health facilities, not as an inpatient, but I just remember like certain scenes springing to mind.
Because like, I had actually seen that before I had been in a mental institution myself for work. Like I went to Windsor House. It was
Yeah,
at
that's
the
where I
time.
was.
But Windsor House was like something. It was like that set. You know, it was such an old school.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause obviously it's been knocked down and
Aye.
rebuilt to be fit for purpose. But
Yeah.
I just remember at one point, like, you know, that great sort of open hall at the front. You walked in and there was like an old school like bed just sitting aside, and there was like the stained glass windows and stuff. And I remember sitting waiting for someone to come and like get me to go for this like conference meeting about one of the patients, and there was just a girl, probably maybe 16, 17, just walking around in a gown, and I was like, well, this is something out of a horror film.
I know.
You know, this is,
yeah.
I don't like here. You know, and I was probably like early 20s at the time, like, fuck, why am I even here? Like, what do I know about anything to be having a meeting with a psychiatric doctor? And
So did you just lift the water cooler fucking through the window?
I just lifted the water cooler. I actually fucked it at the 17-year-old girl. I was like, get away. It was like fucking Silent Hill.
Have a word with yourself.
Freaking out. Yeah. Put a jumper on. Any wonder you're fucking... But it was a scary spot. And then, do you ever get into like wee wormholes when you sort of see something and you're intrigued about it?
Mm-hmm.
Then you Google it, and then you're up getting down like
all the time
lobotomy wormholes, and you're like, why? All the shit that goes on. Then you go. So then the thing that happened recently was my mum and dad live in a development near like an old...
I thought you were going to say
in an institution.
institution.
Yeah, I got them put in the Windsor House. That's why I was there. I was scouting. It's like, it'll suit them.
You got them in when it was demolished.
Yeah, I just got them in. Sorry. They live near an old place, which is like apartments now. But I just found out, like, I thought it used to be an old hospital, but it was an old insane asylum,
right,
like back in the day. So now I'm like, well, this is frightful.
Yeah.
And then people like, there's an old graveyard and all from like old inmates and old, you know. So before it was an institution, I believe it was like an old home, like a proper stately house. And then the servants were buried in this wee graveyard down. It's spooky.
Man, one of my former job, well, the current employer that I'm with used to have a contract for nuns cemetery. So it was a private cemetery. Only nuns were buried in it. And
only nuns? There's a wee.
A few of them.
Only spinner.
Great website. Like, you had to go down and cut and you literally had to run the mowers over their graves, like, because there was no sort of plot. Like, it was just a Celtic cross, their name, their date of birth, their date of death, and possibly a wee passage from the Bible. And you just had to go along with the mower and trim round the metal heads. It was definitely made you feel incredibly atheist Protestant when you were running.
Yeah, you're like, this is what we wanted all.
Because some of the guys were just like, I don't want to go there. Like, I'm not doing it.
But it is, because the thing about nuns too, they are like children associated with, like, in a lot of horror films, being creepy and scary. Yet if you met a nun, I'm sure they'd be lovely.
Well,
you know,
I have zero experience really, although when I worked in the airport, I remember like checking in a flight or something with a group of nuns, but
it wasn't going on Hendo, it was actual legit.
No, they were going to Hendo, yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
No, they I think they were going to Lourdes, you know, for
to praise the Lord.
Yeah. They had sick people with them. But anyone I know, like a few of my mates' mums went to convent schools and stuff. They cannot speak badly enough about nuns, like.
Yeah.
But I always remember in the airport, like, there was a group of nuns taking a group of like
children,
ill and disabled people to Lourdes, and I can remember seeing them coming back, right? And there must have been like a group of deaf people, and I was sitting there, and these deaf people were like pissing themselves laughing about something.
Yeah.
And then it was amazing because you could see the nun then doing the sign language to the other one, and then they started laughing, and then there was a blind and deaf person, so they were doing it on
his hand,
and it was just like, I would love to know
what the banter
is. Crack is. They're probably going, look at that bald cunt over there.
I thought you were going to say as they came back, like they went out and they were like, and then they came back like, you wouldn't believe. I'm telling you, it's fucking stereo sound here. We're flying.
You've got. Forget 2020 vision. I've got 40/40.
Yeah, I'm not, but I do think that's like to the nuns and the priests or ministers, whoever, whatever denomination, or do they not think like when there's like you come here to get healed, and after maybe like the third or fourth trip that nobody's healed, they're not like, maybe this isn't going to work. This trip to Lourdes, you know.
Yeah, but then I suppose a lot of people pin a lot of stuff on faith, especially when you're desperate, you know.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
So who knows?
What I would do, I thought you were going to tell me they were taking them there to kill them.
Maybe some people just love a free holiday.
Yeah,
They're
well,
like,
you know what? That's fair, because they don't get anything really else, do the nuns? They just have to wear those black unitards and.
I think they're pretty slick though. It's a
Yeah.
good look, you know, classic black and white.
You know, slimming. Yeah, to be fair, it's a fair point, but they don't really have. You don't really see a nun with like a real, you know, forward-thinking, fashionable do. Like, you know, Paul Stafford's not going to be cutting a nun's hair. You know, it's always very basic.
Well, certainly not if he takes that attitude. David,
No, but I mean,
you
I
know,
don't think it's.
if he goes down to a convent, it was
Mhm.
like, what's happening, nuns?
No, but do you want to have like a modern hip
Yeah.
cut?
Do you want to be the
Is it-
coolest bitch in the convent?
But like, is there something in the Bible that says Jesus is not down with hip haircuts? I don't think so.
I think Jesus was probably a bit of a hipster himself. like.
Yeah, well, Jesus, I think, was potentially a gay man. So
Really?
yeah, I just get the vibe from him. And as a guy who myself is a closeted gay guy, I look at it and go, yeah, I can see Jesus hanging about with these guys all day, great shape, you know.
What's
all
the
toned up.
gayest thing you've ever done?
Had a orgy with 3 men. No, the gayest thing I've ever done is probably Sight, The Wizard of Oz, is my favorite ever film.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's up there with the gayest thing I've ever done. Because I would argue that I'm gay in every aspect apart from like being attracted to dudes. Other
Well,
than that,
I always said,
know.
like, you know, we're all a little bit gay sometimes.
yeah, that's true. And Connor Keyes' new theory that I'm all on board with, he says we're all bisexual. All men that are married are bisexual. I was like, whoa, how do you mean by that? And he's like, well, if you're married, so you're not going to like do anything else, so you may as well say you're bisexual. If it ticks a box, get your head somewhere. Be like smart thinking.
Oh,
Yeah.
Keezy thinks out of the box.
He does. I literally, as a bisexual, he's like, it's not all about the box. It's about box and cocks.
Gayest thing I've ever done is probably kiss the man in the ring.
Nice. Was that
Yeah.
on Saturday night?
Yes, me and
Mhm.
Cormac had a wee kiss on
Yeah.
the lips at the end of our fight.
And then you rimmed him
Yeah,
afterwards. Yeah,
yeah.
so a little kiss.
Aye, so that
And what's your relationship with Cormac like before the boxing and now after? What
good,
would you
man.
say?
Like,
yeah. Are you close or do you?
not particularly. Cormac, I've met like 10 times
Yeah.
probably, but always a fan. And I was saying to him on Saturday, like, I can remember his first gig in the pavilion, and you're always sitting there, like, well, I certainly am, when someone is up there, regardless of who they are,
Yeah.
for the first time. Just takes so much fucking
Yeah.
balls to do it, and I'm always sort of willing them on. And I remember Cormac getting up, and you could tell there was a wee bit of nerves, but he was very confident in what he was saying. And I remember sitting there after like a minute going, he's gone a long time without getting a laugh. Like,
Yeah.
this better have a fucking good punchline. And then the punchline came,
Yeah.
and the place erupted.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, nobody really sees Cormac very
Yeah.
often.
I think I might have said on comedy, he's an enigma.
He really is.
Yeah, he definitely is. And like, that was the thing with seeing the training. You never know what Cormac's going to turn up, because we know he's a fit guy.
Yeah.
We know he's, you know, I thought, again, that you two would be a close fight. It would be a good fight. But I know, like, he is a bit of an oxymoron in some respects, because he would, like, he likes to smoke, but then
He does,
also
yeah.
he runs everywhere.
That's
So
what
you're
I
like-
was relying on,
Yeah.
performance-reducing drugs to give me a foot up. But yeah, I think when you're from West Belfast, boxing's on the curriculum in
Yeah.
primary school. So,
Yeah.
but now here, I really hope that he gets back doing gigs soon.
No, 100%.
Because as a stand-up, he doesn't really do it, but he
Yeah.
is very good at it. Like,
No, he's very smart and he's a very funny guy as
and,
well.
yeah,
Really funny guy.
Another thing I would say about Cormac and probably Kieran Bartlett is, on the local scene, of all the comedians, I would say those two are probably least like their onstage persona.
Yeah,
when you
offstage,
actually
yeah.
get
Yes,
chatting to them.
yeah.
Kieran, he's probably softened up a wee bit, and I think he said that when I was
Yeah.
on his podcast, by his own admission. You know, he's not really telling everyone in the audience to kill themselves
Yeah.
as frequently.
Yes.
But he'll sort of dress it up and deliver it slightly subtly.
Yeah. No, they would be two that would be, you wouldn't expect them to be like the way they are.
Yeah, no,
you know?
I was just taken aback by how warm and sincere both of them were when I sort of got to know them. They're like, you're a horrible bastard sometimes when you're up there. But
See, that's it. Sometimes people need to know what you're doing on there as an act.
Yeah,
you know? 'Cause
exactly.
I've had people say to me, "You're a horrible dad." I'm like, actually, probably one of the best. You
Yeah.
know, I love being a dad, but that's not funny. So You know, I would never dare speak like ill of my kids in a non-comedy way, you know, because I love them to bits, but it's funny to call them pricks.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So,
exactly. I remember being like, when I lived in Edinburgh, going to Jerry Sadowitz at the Underbelly.
Wasn't recently, was it?
No, I tell you when it was, about 2 weeks after Madeleine McCann disappeared, because that was featured, and that was very raw at the time. And I think we've had this discussion, like it's not something I find particularly funny anyway, because regardless of what's going on, it's a tragedy.
Yes.
And oh god, he was making like racist comments, but like, I mean, there were people there that I thought might have got up and walked out that were laughing, and then there was other people getting up and walking out, and then afterwards I remember being at the bar and just turning around and he was right beside me talking to this guy. I was waiting to be served and just listening to him chat, and I was like, he's the nicest guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's just, he was having this conversation with somebody and just came across as really sincere and sound. Yeah. And I was like, I think that was the first time I realised it's an act.
Yes. You know? Yeah. But no, it is weird, because like obviously Madeleine McCann is something that I think my view on life has changed, because when she first disappeared, obviously there were people making their jokes and saying whatever about the parents and all, and you'd sort of go, you know, it was almost a punchline. Like when people still use it now, you're like, shut up.
I know. Yeah.
But see, since having kids and then I watched the documentary on Netflix, and I'm not ashamed to say I cried watching it. I was like this, because you associate with your own kids so much, and then you look at how she disappeared and you're like, that's back in those days. Even when like I was left all the time, my parents were on holidays, and like it wasn't far from there where they were, and you could have eyes on the room. But then obviously whatever happened, and it was just so tragic. And it's the fact that no one knows what's happened to her that, you know, I think that makes me the saddest, is that the parents still maybe have that little bit of hope that she'll be found. But
comedy podcast, guys, welcome.
Listen, this is it. But you know what? It's all behind, isn't it? Because at one point, like I think now, if people are there's certain things that if people still joke about, you're like, come on, that's one of them. It's
I know.
Like, get over it. Come on.
There are certain things, like I would say before the pandemic, I didn't have much material sort of related to the sectarian divide.
Yeah.
And then first couple of gigs back, I said a couple of lines that seemed to go down very well, and then I've become almost too much the other way. It's all sectarianism and crude innuendo.
But sometimes that's what gets the laugh too, and I think whenever you're sort of starting off, you think to yourself, I want to be this, like you have this almost, I'm going to do this highbrow, intelligent, and you're like, the currency's laughter. You go where what's the laughs, you know what I mean? You go, and the people like I think I'm quite fortunate in terms of, like, I'm not really political at all. I was brought up in mixed marriage, and
very anti-Semitic.
But of course, I never met a Jew I liked. But I would always sort of like never have one view or other, but then would kind of be like, well, if I'm in, you know, West Belfast, I can, you know, tease both a bit. Yeah. If I'm in East, you know, I can sort of mix it up. Now, I do tend to find, as somebody who, like, I'm technically a Protestant, because, you know, my Protestant granny lived closer and was adamant to take me to church. My mum and dad wanted to buck on a Sunday morning, so that's fair enough. Technically I'm a Protestant, but I have found my worst gigs have been in working class Protestant areas. Yeah. Because I think sometimes and I'm saying we in this one, take yourselves a bit too seriously. Yeah.
Well, I've had that conversation with quite a few people, and it's amazing. I mean, Strabane, I was there 3 weeks ago doing the boiler room.
Yes.
And addressed the room as dirty Fenian bastards, and they gave me an applause break.
Yeah.
I've used the same line in other situations in probably areas that weren't quite as
green,
heavily populated by the Greens. And I think that there's an element of people don't know how to react to it.
Yeah.
Whereas in Strabane and West Belfast, they're like, hey, that's us.
Yeah. No, because I think sometimes the words as well, people be like I had a bit that at one of my earliest bits years and years ago was a bit of like a pun on the hun joke. It was like I'm so non-sectarian that I remember this. I dumped a girlfriend because she was like fine to my face, but whenever we were apart, she was like fully sectarian, and she'd send me a text being like, "Oh, what do you want to do tonight, hun?" I was like,
"How rude!
What do you think I want to do tonight, Fenian?" You know, and I was like, and then she dumped me. You know, so it was. something along those lines. But I don't know. I just think we all need and I think it's that approach that if some people go to gigs, they're like, well, you know, we're going to be funnier anyway. And it's like, oh, are you, mate? Are you? You're burning Manning recycled jokes in your taxi? Shut up.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but you get it everywhere. Wankers.
Exactly.
Everywhere.
Every walk of life, there's always some arsehole, isn't there?
And super tough. And you know what the worst? Another one I think's a bad demographic are people who are not at the level that they think they are. You know, they think they're posher than they are. They have a higher opinion of themselves, and it's like, nah, because you find that the wealthier people aren't the ones that talk about it.
Yeah,
you know, they just can't.
And I tell you what, like, there's a few of my clients or our clients, I should say, who are like mega wealthy, right? Like multi-millionaires, I would say.
Yeah.
And they're the nicest, soundest people. Nothing is an issue. Like, you know, they say, oh, would you mind, like, if it's not too much bother, could you take a wee bit off that hedge or whatever? And then you get other ones that, you know, they've made a few quid over the years, and they're just like, you pick up that dog shit, and you're like, probably not. Yeah,
because see, that's the worst for me. Whenever I have, like, we get a guy to come in and cut the grass once a year, because when it gets like that winter cut, because I only have a wee gimpy electric trimmer. So this old guy comes in with this big oil lawnmower, and he I don't know if he can speak. He just goes, and he's the most miserable guy. But I am always like, oh shit, I need to go out here and make sure there's no dog shit anywhere.
You see, like,
you know, but people just leave it.
Any time I have a tradesperson at the house for anything, first thing, do you want a cup of tea or coffee?
Yeah,
like, get them on your side.
Yeah.
There was one garden we used to do where every week when I went, there was dog shit everywhere, and one of my colleagues was like, fuck them, it's not our job to pick it up, just plough over it in the mower. And I was like, yeah, but then we're having to lift the mower back into the van or the trailer,
full of shit.
So what I started doing was taking a spade and just going along one half of the garden, piling it up, and cutting that half of the garden, moving the pile and anything from the other half over. And I was just like, I'm just going to have a Mexican standoff for this guy. Like, I am not putting this dog shit anywhere other than his lawn. And after about 6 weeks, there was like a mountain of feces. And eventually, you know, he gave in. And
was there any awkwardness with him? Was he like, what are you doing?
I never met him. Yeah. Never saw him. He was always away at work. And he had a tiny wee dog, but I'll tell you what, some arse on the thing. Like,
see, my dog, he likes to save his shit for his walk. So like, he'll maybe, like the other day, he didn't get out for a day, because when everyone was sick and I had the kids, and when I got out, I think he did 6 shits, and I did, like, out of the 6, maybe 4 were double handers to try to collect. Like, they were big units, like. Yeah. And he doesn't tend to shit in the garden anymore. He's quite picky about it.
We've a cat, and I don't know where she shits, but it's not my garden. Like.
Do you have a litter box for her and she just ignores it?
No, she just prefers to go al fresco.
Nice, so, I like that from her.
On occasion, she'll use the litter tray, but you know, speaking from experience, Dave, it's nice to drop one outside sometimes.
It is alright. Have you ever done a number 2 outside?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, regularly? Like on the job?
During the pandemic, there were a few occasions, because you see all the toilets and garages and Tesco's and all they were all closed.
So what's the prep then? What did you get into, like a habit of bringing bog roll with you? Or
well, we pretty much always have bog roll in the van anyway, because it's useful sometimes if you get like strimmed garden juice back in your face or whatever. And we had obviously hand sanitizer at the time, and still do. But
it's sort of gone out of fashion now, the hand sanitizer. You don't see that shit anywhere.
Well, even before the pandemic, I would keep a supply of it in my bags. You know, after a good gig, everyone comes up, they're like, "Man, that was fucking class." And you're like, I just saw you at the urinal 2 seconds ago. Like,
that's good, and it also takes off the writing, the cheat notes in your hand.
Yeah,
real easy.
Yeah. Although what I tend to do is have it on the back of my drink on a freezer level.
So there you go.
So just go behind a bush with a spade, dig a wee hole,
bury it.
There you go.
In people's gardens, just burying shits in the garden.
On occasion, yeah.
Cut your grass, and there's a wee secret, there's a wee surprise for you too. Bit of compost, don't worry about it.
Yeah, and then just blame the guy's dog.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you could have. You could have just shat behind the mountain of shit, and no one would have even know.
I saved my shits until I got there every week.
It turns out that was the M. Night Shyamalan twist. It wasn't even his dog; it was just you shitting every single week.
He doesn't have a dog.
He's at work. Yeah. What? I see dog people, but
It was like the Shawshank Redemption. I was just walking about, shaking it out of the bottom of the trouser, like.
Oh man. But that's something I imagine being a fun. Like I look at jobs and I go, what job would I like to do? Like, and I always enjoy doing the stuff in the garden.
Yeah.
But then I never do it on the bad days.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
that's the thing. You see on the bad days, you don't. You know when you're sitting inside and it's pissing down, you're looking out the window and you're like, fuck, that's brutal out there. When you're actually out in it and you've got all the gear and headphones in, you don't even notice how bad it is some days until you're driving home and you're like, fuck. Like, this road is like a river.
Yeah.
But
do you find it to be quite therapeutic, or do you get stressed out doing it?
Never get stressed out doing it. No. There's nothing stressful about it, and it's great for just being able to sort of keep on top of your weight for a start, and just even with, like, if you've got a bit of a hangover.
Yeah.
You know, if you're sitting in an office all day with a hangover, it's torture. Get outside for an hour.
Yeah.
Doing physical work and you're sorted, like.
Yeah. See, that's why I find with the dog walks help. You know, if I'm feeling a bit miserable, I get him out.
Yeah.
Happy Larry.
I was listening to our wee podcast yesterday. Shout out to those chaps.
I'll get that edited out, Ben. Cut it, remove.
Shout out to those cunts. But Pete was saying that he and Sean Haggerty were in touch on Sunday. And he was like, how are you feeling today? My body is broken after the boxing. And Haggerty was just like, yeah, same here, man. I had to just like go out for a run there to sort myself out.
Yeah.
And Pete was like, that is the last thing I would be doing today.
But it's one of those things that, like, I at the minute, it's probably miserable to say it, but like, I am struggling with my weight a bit at the minute, and it's like, I would have in my like past been a lot more active, played rugby, done sports, worked out a lot. Sea swimming, I just do that now to hunt people, but I feel like I've got so much. It's got to the point where, like, before I would have gone done a workout, would have done something, felt where it's got into this like rut to the point that it's like, nah, I don't feel that at all. And it's only now getting out with the dog, eating a bit better, that I'm like, nah, you can feel a bit better if you actually do, you know, treat yourself a bit better rather than
completely
struggle, you know.
I mean, usually after Christmas, like, I would do dry January, but not as like, oh.
Yeah.
It's because my body's like, right, fuck up, seriously. That's 6 weeks of recreational gluttony and boozing you've been doing. Wind it up a bit. And my birthday's the 1st of March. You've got 2 weeks, guys, to get your presents lined up. Yeah. And sometimes I would go from New Year to my birthday without having a drink. Yeah. And you just, everything is so much easier. Mm-hmm.
No, 100%. Like, I mean, I don't really drink at all, you know, mostly because I think with gigs and stuff, I always have to drive. Yeah. So and the kids are the big reason that I don't. But, like, for example, we're going away this weekend for the night on Saturday, just to Carlingford with another couple, and no kids. So we'll have a few drinks. I'll probably eat whatever I like, but it's trying to find that balance of, so now I'm trying to just eat really well and exercise during the week. Yeah. And at the weekends, not do whatever you want, but just know that you don't have to watch that or time that. If you want to have a coffee or a bun or something, you can have it, as long as you don't be, you know, having all the other shit with it. So I was trying to do that. So I'll have a couple of drinks, and even now, like back in the day, I would have been a bit. I would have drank till I was blocked. Because now I'll drink and then be like, that'll do me. You know, I've got what I need out of it. So
Saturday night was probably the biggest session I've had in at least 10 years, I would say. But it was a weird one because people were buying shots and stuff and plugs. But I think with the adrenaline and also just like
CTE,
the love in the room, just chatting with everyone off duty and having the crack, I just didn't find myself getting ridiculously pissed. Like, I was certainly pissed, but and then got a taxi, dropped Ronan Boyle, his missus and his mum off at their hotel, got home about...
I was going to say, to Strabane, like you were blocked.
Yeah, why not? Got home at about 2, went into the kitchen, and there was like half a pie sitting, and I was like, I've not actually eaten since 3:30 this afternoon. Opened the cupboards, like, there's a bottle of red as well. Sat up to 5 watching the Ireland-France game. Yeah. And it's been, a long time since I've done something like that.
That's a lot of fun though, a pie, rugby, and a bottle of wine. It's hard to beat.
Yeah. So it was great fun, and then just replying to all the messages I got on the back of the boxing and stuff. So.
And how did you get on then the next day with a hangover and the like?
Well, that was sort of penciled out in the calendar. Like, don't expect anything from me. I'd left my car down on Bedford Street or somewhere, and it was about 5:30 before I was fit
Yeah.
to go and retrieve it.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I would relive every second of that night if I could, Davey.
Now here's the question too: if there's going to be another one, which I assume there would be, because listen, money talks, and there's
Yep.
a lot of money raised. Would you be interested in competing again?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Would you want to do something different?
No, I would do it again at the drop of a hat. Somebody pointed out to me afterwards that the age gap between me and Cormac would be like me fighting a 56-year-old.
Yeah.
So either someone my own age, looking at you, Teresa Livingstone, or Kevin Hart is my age, or someone
a bit older,
in their mid to late 50s.
Yeah, well that's it. I think there'll be probably, again, there's talk about putting on a new one and announcing it soon, but I think that you don't want to keep hammering the same thing. Give it a bit of time. It's sold out quickly. It'll sell out again, and do that. Like, see, being ringside, I'll be honest, I was like, I wouldn't mind to go with this.
Man, you were excellent, by the way.
No, thank
on
you.
The commentary,
but I really enjoyed that too.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did, but there I was like, you know what I will do is maybe go to some training sessions with people and like spar and have a bit of the crack.
Yeah.
But I think I'll like just try to get the weight off and keep the commentating, because it was great fun. I loved it.
No, you were really good at it. Like, and I mean, obviously there was the comedy element, but you had to maintain a bit of like professional.
Yeah.
Keep the night flowing and keep the punters entertained.
See, that was it. There was one part, there were a couple of people tried to just come and chat in the middle of it, and Dan had to be like, what? And then someone was like, oh, I'll just jump on, and he was like, no. Yeah. This is not how this works. It's like there's a stream of,
I think one of them was me.
Of people. No, you were all right, because it was sort of all, it wasn't in the middle of like a fight or someone was like, I'll just jump. But he was like, no, sorry, we've got to. And then there's a couple of times where he was having to do, you need to do this, you need to poke this, go to this, cut to this, and then maybe like the guests weren't aware that I had to do it, so I had to be like, right, at one point I think I'd say to Butler, shush, like, just, can you stop just a minute so we can get Pips promoted here,
exactly,
and
let Tommy say his bit when he was, Tommy McCarthy as well, like, hats off to the man.
Great.
And Kesey. But I think at the very end, after Ronan and Paddy's finished fight, we were up in the sort of choir seats at the very back at the side of the organ, and I was trying to get all the comedians to come down and get a photo of us all in the ring. And everyone sort of came down the stairs and then just got distracted by people to know or whatever. But that's when I realised how pissed Willy T was when he was sitting topless at this stage with you and
that's right,
Butler. And I remember just sneaking up behind William and just giving him quite a firm ditty nip, like, and he didn't. I don't think he even realised it was happening. Like, he just kept talking to the camera. He was
ridiculous. Because see, that was another fun element, just watching him get progressively more pissed and entering the ring in a more unorthodox way each time. Was like, what's this guy going to do next?
I mean, watching it back and watching it online, you didn't pick up the atmosphere like in the venue. Like when Kieran come out and did Eye of the Tiger at the start, like a lot of the fighters were, obviously me and Cormac were up first, so we were standing there waiting to be called out, and everyone else was just like loving it, just sort of looking from the side door, just going, this is going to be fucking class.
Like, I've seen a few white collar boxing events before, and I have never seen one that was run as professionally and like as big an operation as that. So everyone involved, it was class. It was really, really good, and I think everyone should be massively proud of it, and
especially the 1L guys as well, like, because I could not believe how slick it was to watch, because I had my laptop up in our dressing room.
You have it on live?
So we were all sitting watching the fights. Well, I say watching, I was sort of dipping in and out of them. I think I was the only one that bought beers in my kit bag.
But of course you didn't drink them backstage.
Oh no. I just
to look at the that's the goal.
I don't even know how they get in there. But it was very slick online.
So hopefully, and again, like anything, you want to move on bigger and better, so we'll see what is next for it. And I mean, I would love to get Tyrone again on commentary.
He was great.
He was cracking as well. But now if I would do something different, I would get a lift and I'd have a few pints during it.
If I would do something different, I would probably train.
Well, listen, what a good way to wrap that up. It was a fun event. Ian, thank you very much for coming in. Is there anything you want to plug? You had mentioned your Daft Prick show.
Yeah, Daft
When's
Prick
that on?
in the Sunflower Bar, Friday the 24th of March. I think there's about 20 tickets left. It's going to be an audio-visual shit show with video clips, stand-up, robot puns, jokes about the French.
Boo.
Yeah, and I don't know, just great fun, guys. That's what it's going to be all about.
And it's also going to be via the link in the description of the podcast. So if you want to go straight there to get your links, get on in, get them. Ian, thank you very much.
Shen Kui.
Shen Kui.
I'm the sly guy.